A lot of people think of channeling as something that's very separate from them. They think that if somebody's channeling, they were chosen, they've had this gift since birth, or it came to them spontaneously. And it's sort of this separate, maybe these big names out there that are channels. It's a very separate idea. But did you know that actually everyone is a channel? And did you know that you are currently channeling? In fact, we're all channeling all of the time. If we haven't met before, my name's Allison Holley, and I am a conscious channel and an awakening guide. And of course, I'm going to go deeper into why I said conscious channel. That's a very significant part of this whole teaching part. So what is channeling? It's very simple. When we think of channeling in physical terms, we think about creating a passageway between two things. So if we think about channeling with water or having a channel in water, there's a body of water here, there's a body of water here, and we're opening up the passageway. We're opening up that channel between those two bodies of water. And this is exactly what spiritual channeling is. When we are channeling, we're opening ourselves up multidimensionally to receive guidance and messages from other dimensional spaces or other beings or groups of beings or collectives. Basically, what we're doing is we're opening ourselves as the channel between human consciousness and these higher consciousness beings or spaces and information. So channeling is actually very simple. And here's why I say that you are channeling all the time. In order to be a human, in order to animate this body, you have to be streaming your higher consciousness into this moment. So all of us are channeling, but we're all doing it unconsciously, which means that we're living this human life and we're not even aware of the absolute magic of this bringing our soul into this body to animate, to walk around this planet. We're just doing it unconsciously. We just kind of take it for granted that this is what we're doing. But really, you are channeling your oversoul, your consciousness into this human experience, and you're doing it all of the time. So what is conscious channeling? Conscious channeling means that you have developed or been brought into the ability to consciously, or we could say on demand, or with your knowing, come into a space where you are opening up that channel between the dimensions and you're able to bring that information through. Like I said, you're opening your body as that channel up to delivering messages that come through from other dimensional spaces and other beings. I'm going to dive a little bit into the old definition of what channeling really kind of used to be seen as. And this might actually match what you're currently seeing channeling as, or something in you may already know that you're already channeling. But let me share with you why we're moving into a new definition. It's really time for us to start seeing channeling differently. So in the past, this was actually a gift that was only given to a few people. Only a few people in humanity were able to open themselves up to these higher frequency states or other beings who wish to communicate through them. And the reason for that is that we were at a much denser frequency planetarily, meaning that humanity was a lot less conscious in general. And recently, I'm sure you've noticed, the world is exploding with awakening. And what that means is that we're all coming into our sort of baseline now. Humanity's baseline is actually what was the highest point for humanity in the past. So we're in a really different time right now. And this is why I like to say that it's really important that all of us know ourselves as channels, because channeling isn't just about becoming, disembodied and letting another being come through you and you totally forget yourself and you don't even know what you're saying and things like that. That's kind of an old definition, and it's actually a bit disempowering considering where we are now in humanity, where all of us are becoming so conscious and so awakened that we no longer need to put this human self aside. We don't need to say, oh, I'm human, therefore I'm inherently flawed, therefore, I could never channel. It's got to be another being. A lot of people are really afraid of their own power. And I could go off on that. We have this idea that power makes us enforcing over other people, or makes us inherently wrong, or, like we're going to do something bad with that power. But power, true power, actually makes us very loving and helps us be connected with each other. And so that's something that when we come into the state of true power, we start to understand, oh, actually, it just makes me want to be more loving, more present, more with myself, and more connected to others. So we no longer need to have this idea that in order to channel, you've got to totally shut your human self off. You've got to totally shut your who you are off and let something else come through you. The way that I teach channeling, and by the way, I teach channeling, I've been teaching it for, I think, 8 years at this point. And I've been consciously channeling for 13. The way that I teach channeling is that you are really the master of this experience. You're going to be conscious through the whole process. And that's really fun, because then you get to, it's almost more like a conversation between you and these higher dimensional beings, or, your higher self. Most of the time now, when I go into conscious channeling, it's me connecting to my higher self and being able to see from that perspective. So let's talk about what conscious channeling actually looks like now. When I said at the beginning of this video that everyone is a channel, I really meant that. Because yes, you are currently channeling your higher self into this physical reality, but also you have a lot more consciousness at this point than you may have given yourself credit for. You may have even clicked on this video because you're thinking, I've had these moments where it just seems like everything is coming through me. Is that channeling? It absolutely is. So when we go into channeling in this sort of new definition, when we go into channeling, really what we're doing is we're quieting our ego self. And the ego self is simply the mind, the monkey mind that's always pre-programmed with ideas. We're quieting ourselves, and we're allowing higher frequency information to come through. And then really what we're doing is we're just reporting on it. We're just speaking it out loud. And this comes through in a myriad of ways. When I teach channeling, everyone has a very different way of bringing this information through. So some people, they'll more see pictures and then speak what they're seeing. For some people, they're hearing actual words. For some people, it's like, when I first started channeling, and at times when the energy is really strong, it just feels like a river coming through the top of my head. And I'll share more about my process with channeling and how it all unfolded for me. And I'll do that in another video. I'll link it here. But channeling looks different for everyone. We're all different, right? So the way that we're going to connect to these frequencies is going to be a little bit different for everyone. So the way that channeling looks now, even though it's different for everyone, we are tapping into a field of consciousness that is real. It's just not on this layer of reality, but it is real. I have times when I'm channeling with a friend, right? So I have a lot of friends who channel. We'll go into this space consciously and we'll come out with the same information. I've led groups of people into learning how to channel, and they'll go into, let's say we have a Zoom room, they'll go into separate Zoom rooms and come back and have channeled the same information. So we're tapping into something that's real. It's just on a different frequency level than this human experience generally is. So now that I've shared all of this about channeling with you, I'm curious, do you feel within yourself that you are already channeling? Is that maybe why you came to this video? Or do you feel this pull to learn channeling? I want to share with you that right now, it's very important that we all recognize ourselves as channels, as sovereign beings, as lights to this world who have something to contribute. And the reason for that is that this is our true nature. As I said, we're going through a massive explosion of awakening. You've already noticed it, you're experiencing it. And because of that, we've got a lot of different processes happening right now that it's important for each of us to really start to step into our power, which is to step into the higher aspect of ourselves. And when we step into the higher aspect of ourselves, we inherently sort of begin receiving this guidance from our higher selves. If we think about it, I'm just going to kind of jump topics here. If we think about dimensions as being actual spaces, like a layer cake is the way that I like to describe it, even though it's not really like that. But in order for our minds to understand it, I'm going to describe it this way. Different dimensional spaces are sort of like layers of a layer cake. And as we go through an awakening, we are going from this level of consciousness being the only thing that we see, the only thing that we know. We start to kind of crack that ceiling and we start to dip into new dimensional experiences that are higher frequency. So we're tapping into all of these different layers of the multidimensional layer cake when we start to channel. And it's all accessible to us now. And it's important. This is part of our awakening process that we start to tap into it. We start to claim that ability and start to really be empowered within ourselves to receive our own higher guidance and our own information to help us navigate our journey. If you are curious to learn how to channel, if you want to start your channeling journey, I have a lot of resources for you. I have the Learn to Channel course, which is the course that I have been teaching for many years in many different formats. It's a really powerful course. It's got several, I think 6 units of videos. There's guided meditations for getting you into a channeling space. It brings you all the way from learning how to meditate, the basics of meditation, how to start trusting yourself, your unique ability to channel, how it comes through for you, and then also how to understand boundaries in case you're not feeling safe in that space, how to channel for yourself, how to enter that space, and then also how to channel for others. So it's a very robust course. And when you join the course, you actually get added into a free private community where you can meet other people who have learned how to channel through this course. And there's channeling practice and all sorts of stuff in that group. So I highly recommend that. I also have a workbook. It's called the Learn to Channel Workbook. It's available on Amazon. I'll link that below. And then I also have a quiz. What kind of channel are you meant to be? So if you're curious to explore what kind of channel you are, take the quiz. That'll get you started. And for now, thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.